There's a question that crossed my mind the other day.
All right.
There's I think I was watching actually a preacher who was talking about this, and it just got the wheels turning.
Right.
And made me think, like, is God idealistic, like in an unhealthy way? You know, when the Bible tells us not to fear, not to worry, not to be anxious, not to doubt. Do you think that God is placing unrealistic expectations on people?
You really want to know what I think?
If so, how do we work through that? Because if you think that, whether you do it or not, there are a ton of us at some point throughout the Christian journey that feel that way. Like, man, like, what do you mean don't fear? Like,
right. Don't worry.
Don't worry. Everything about life only invokes those emotions and those feelings. Is that realistic? You know what I mean? Or idealistic of God? And is it even possible? And if not, then why would God? You know what I'm saying?
What's going on here, God?
Right. You feel me? Yeah.
Nah, I feel you. Yeah, that's hard to think about because, I mean, it really, the question exposes the nature of the law. The law is like this freight train that's moving full speed with so much momentum, it will not stop. It doesn't go off course. The law is the law, you know, and that's what, when we hear those things, that's what it feels like. And we're like, I can't be on course with the pace and the momentum of this train. Like, I need grace. I need a break. I can't keep up with the demands of the, you know what I mean, of the law and the force behind it. So, but this used to be one of the things that wrecked my soul. Like, I remember when I first became a Christian, and it would be passages just like, cast your cares on me, for I care for you, right? Which is a way to deal with worry and fear and stress. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, to me, the whole system was frustrating because the expectation is to not worry, which I feel like is hard. Then you come and say, but cast your cares on me. And I'm like, what does that mean? How do I do that? Because for me, that's just take the thing away.
Right.
If you say, hey, what's the best way for me to alleviate your burden? I want, cast your cares on me. Like, this the way as a human I'm thinking about things. I would want you to say, or what I would say to you would be, just take this problem away altogether.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't have no money in my bank account, so just put a couple of million in there, you know, since you asking, you know what I mean? And I just could not get in touch with the command of the law, and then even the solution to the burden. You know what I mean? And I think in that way, any honest human would say, yes, it is an unrealistic expectation. It is burdensome. And I think that is the reason why we have to explore kind of what's going on here. Like, what is God up to when he gives us these commands and paints these pictures? You know? No, it just makes me think, bro, about like how it makes me think about what's in the mind of God. Like, when God places those expectations on us, you know, what's he thinking? Like, he's intimately acquainted with human nature. In fact, you know, as the incarnate God, he's intimately acquainted with grief, sorrow, you know what I'm saying? Pain, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, which is a plus, you know what I mean? It's the beauty of the incarnation, right? That God shares in our suffering and all of those. We have a high priest that can sympathize.
He can sympathize with our frailty, our weaknesses, right? So that's the beauty of it. But at the same time, it's like, what you know, if there's nobody else who gets this, you should know that's not possible. Right. And I think that's really what it comes down to is this possible? And in the mind of God, the answer is yes. But I think from the vantage point of the human experience, there is there's a gap between where I am today, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is like full of fear and anxiety, and
Right.
you know, I'm internally turbulent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, for whatever reasons,
Yep.
circumstances surrounding me or whatever. You know, but there's a gap between that space and getting to this place that
The standard.
the standard.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's possible, it's achievable, it's attainable, but there's just a gap between where you are now
Yeah.
and where you one day will be. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think the frustration is that that getting from point A
Yeah.
to point B, because in between all of that is hell.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I get that.
It's hell.
And I think, to add to what you're saying, it's attainable, yes, but not by us alone. You know what I mean? So it seemed like it has more to do with the law being a tutor
Yeah.
that points us towards Christ. So it's almost like when I hear these commands to not do something or to do something,
Yeah.
don't worry, but trust.
Right.
Both of them seem hard.
Right.
And then and underneath that weight, because I want to, like I want to trust you, I want to not worry and to believe that you got me. Underneath that weight, what I sort of do is I go to you, and I confess, this is hard, God.
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
weak.
Yeah.
Will you help me? Will you give me strength?
Yeah.
And that closes the distance.
Closes the
because
that
now
gap.
you're finding rest outside of yourself in a person, Christ, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of like this repetitive cycle
Yeah.
that it begins to take on that
Yeah.
style. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because that's really that has to be the answer, because
Yeah.
you cannot get there. And I'm not saying that you can't be disciplined in your mind and in your thinking and grow in your ability to trust God in greater measures. And when I say trust God, I mean just regularly, providing for your bills, food on the table.
Yeah.
I need a new job, God. They just shut down my plant. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
And just being able to still be joyful and
Yeah.
and grieve as well, but not
Right.
turning from my faith or launching myself into some sin pattern, but just kind of being able to maintain some wholeness until you bring about a solution. I think that is attainable in measures and degrees. And sometimes you'll get better at that, and then you might get worse at that at a certain season of your life. But I think ultimately the weight of the raw command sends you to Christ himself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that what Christ offers, like you're saying, it's foreign. Right.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of goes back to the conversation that we had about Will Smith, because the thing that God offers, because it seems the same, kind of like we were talking about Aristotle, like his high ethic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems the same almost, like, wait, well, the world does have peace. Like he seems to be at peace with himself, peace with the people around him. He said he living his best life. Him and Duval living their best life. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they seem to, be happy. Bible says, happy is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. Well, they kind of seem to actually be doing that and still be happy. It seems like, wait a minute, well, what's the difference? You know what I'm saying? Like, what they seem to have joy, like, but you know what I'm saying? Probably more joy than I got. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes you're right.
Right. Sometimes as we're kind of comparing and contrasting, you're like, well, what's the difference? I think the difference is that there is a transcendent. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. There's a transcendent peace. That's why he says, be anxious for nothing, everything by prayer and supplication, make your request known unto God, and the peace of God that passes your own understanding will guard your heart. Like, that's different.
That is different.
That's something other.
Yeah.
He talks about, when the Bible talks about joy, it says joy unspeakable. A joy you can't even articulate.
Right.
Like, I don't know where this came from. You know what I'm saying? Like, this could not have been of me. That's to your point. Like, this has to be just like righteousness. Has to be a foreign righteousness. It has to be from above. I think the same is true in all of a blessed hope. And like, that's different. Like, it's not just hope. It's a blessed hope. You see what I'm saying? A living hope. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, bro. It sounds like at the bedrock of these sweet descriptions is a person. Christ. Because when you think about
Come on, I told you we doing a podcast. You're about to make me run. You're about to make me run.
You feel me? Because it's like, have you ever just been like really sad or stuck in something but you couldn't find yourself utterly hopeless?
Yeah.
It's like I'm at the lowest point, but I cannot find myself to be utterly without hope. So that doesn't mean you're smiling. That doesn't mean that
right. It's not this veneer of
It's not this surface. Just
disingenuous.
Right.
It's not.
Nor is it this morbid. Give me cancer.
Right.
Like when we start desiring bad things.
Worst case. Right.
Worst case. It's not that. Nor is it like utter despair where I want to just end it all. Like it's like the sweetness it's almost like this it's kind of insane almost to at that point where you should be utterly hopeless and want to end it all, that you still feel a sense of, you know what, I still believe God got me though. And it's like Christ is that abundance that, and everything that he brings with that, that really catches you. Like Paul says, we suffer, but not as ones without hope.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the experience that when you talk to people that have suffered deeply, you know what I'm saying? Loss of kids.
Right.
Early age, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like the thing that they seem to really be in touch with is at the bottom when it was unthinkably dark. I could not help but to find something in Christ that was even unusual to myself. You know what I'm saying? Which was this this thing that seemed to have me. Like I don't even feel like I'm holding on to anything, but I'm not falling. You know, I haven't slipped. You know what I mean? And it's like because something outside of you is like, I got you. You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing that we find in Christ. You know what I mean? But to the question you asked earlier in terms of, is the expectation unrealistic? You know, it does make me think about, since God gave the standard and gave the law, it's based upon his character. You know what I mean? So it's like,
so all of it is,
anything I'm asking you is because I'm dope.
You
know what I'm saying? Like I can do it.
Yeah.
Anything you would worry about, anything that you would be afraid of. If you knew who I was, you would see that if the way to access me is through faith, that's the best thing to do. Because of my character. I'm unmovable, unchangeable. I know everything. So I'm everywhere at the same time. You know what I'm saying? I know the past, the present, the future. I know potential scenarios. You feel me? So just the full
the fullness
in his presence, of who God is. So
fullness.
If I say to you, walk on water, you feel me? Like it's crazy only up against who asked you to do it. You know what I'm saying? But if the person that asked you to do it is like, and by the way, I made the water, then it's like, I can see
you're
walking on this.
right.
I can see a scenario of me walking on this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's only based upon the person who makes the request. You know what I'm saying? And I think what's so dope about Christianity is that God even meets you in the gap. Other faiths and religions,
you
gotta feel that
it's
gap
very
on your own.
fatalistic.
You know what I'm saying?
And
like,
what you're saying makes me think about like just where like God meeting you in the gaps.
Yeah.
It makes me also think about all the examples of people who existed in those gaps, because you know, some people might, what we're saying now might give some people like hope at the same time they're, you know, kind of in that middle space, like in that tension, and they want to know, do they have permission to feel fear? Do I have permission to be in the middle? Do I have permission to be Peter? Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, like I got out the boat, so that's like the halfway point. Like I did more than what they did, but you see what I mean? Do I have permission to to feel what I'm feeling, to experience? Because some people feel it's like it's a double whammy in a sense. It's like there's an overwhelming sense of guilt for feeling guilty, or an overwhelming sense of fear for being fearful, because you're like, now, like, is God mad at me because I'm afraid?
True.
You know, because I know that he's called me to something other than fear. Is he mad at me for not for not meeting his criteria?
And I'm in trouble.
I'm in trouble for all the more. Yeah. But I think there's a comfort in being able to look at many of the kind of people of faith that, you know, were right in that middle space, that you do see that God is not responding adversarially to, you know what I'm saying? God is not any less pleased with them because they're in that space. So you look at a Jonah, we've been talking about him. Jonah, he's sent to, you know, to evangelize a people that he didn't want to. He ain't feel them, he ain't like them. He hated them, despised them. He turned his stomach, made him sick. That's literally how the translation reads too, that his stomach was sick. He was sick to his stomach when they repented. That's a whole different conversation, but Jonah, what we find is that Jonah was evangelizing, but bitter. You know what I'm saying? Bitterly evangelizing. It's not the criteria. Like, we still keep the ideal in front of us, but there's a comfort in knowing that, man, like Jonah, you know, a man of God, a prophet of old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, seriously.
You look at, you know, look at Jesus, who was conflicted in the garden. You know what I'm saying? And not let this cup pass. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
To the point of
sweating blood,
drops of blood.
You know what I'm saying? Let this cup pass, but not my will, but your will be done. Like, but he's conflicted. You know what I'm saying? That sense of like even loneliness on the cross, like that sense of cosmic aloneness. My God, why have you abandoned me? You know what I'm saying?
Like, I'm on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not, you feel me?
That sense of martyrdom wasn't that sense of martyrdom. It was like a cry because he felt abandoned by the Father. You see what I mean? So I think that it's this both and thing that's always going on, where God does have an ideal for us. He's like, this is good. It's actually the best idea. Yeah, it's the best idea. It's what we're moving towards. But if you're in the middle, you know, you ought not to feel a way about being in that space, because God meets you right there, kind of like Thomas. You know what I'm saying? Like, Thomas is like, you gotta be frustrated if you're Jesus, and you done walk through the wall. You feel me? Seriously. And Thomas is still like, I mean, that might be, he might just, you know what I'm saying? Like, he thought, you know, like this, you know, he might did a magic trick or something. Like he's doubting all the way beyond the resurrection. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's doubting beyond. He sees Jesus and still is like, I need more proof.
It's the Roman centurion, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
I believe,
but help my unbelief. And that's it. That's probably where we land with all of this, right?
I
believe, but help my unbelief.
And, you know, another thing I think too is sometimes people don't give us the category before the fatalism.
Yeah.
Which is there's
Right.
a difference between fear and worry and healthy concern.
Yeah.
Or
True.
even urgent concern.
True. Yeah.
And when you muddy those two distinctions,
yeah.
then you heap guilt on people.
Yeah.
Right? So if there is a real reason to worry about something,
Yeah.
we use that word worry, and the way I'm talking about now is concern.
Right.
Right? If there's a real reason to be concerned about something, somebody's dealing with something that's grave, or somebody's being abused and you need to run in and rescue them. That's a healthy
right. You ain't
worry,
like be
so
anxious for nothing.
Right.
Like,
Let it happen.
that's
let it unfold.
Right.
Trust God. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's an unhealthy expression of that.
Yeah.
But I do think people heap guilt on themselves when they're thinking about, man, bills are here. I don't have the money. And then they start to try to like trust God. Yeah. Which means just
right. Just
whatever.
let it happen.
Just let it happen.
Yeah.
God got me.
Yeah.
When you should also include, man don't work, he don't eat. So I need to consider, well, how do I get motivated then?
Yeah. How do I avoid this next time?
How do I avoid this next time?
How do I budget a little bit? Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's in these kind of areas we have to be careful and use careful language because this is where it counts.
Yeah.
It's not just banter. It's not just, like a cursory breakdown of something. When it comes to worry and fear and stress, like these are the things people really need you to carefully walk them through.
Yeah.
And give them realistic direction as to what God, how he may be engaging you in this and how you ought to be thinking about it yourself in relation to God and the people that are also a part of this thing consequently. Right? So if I'm a parent, I want a healthy concern for whatever my kids also are a part of with me. My spouse is also a part of with me as I'm engaging God and as it relates to trust. And you know what I mean? So it's a good question.
Yeah.
And on the front end, it does seem weighty and hard and unrealistic. But when you realize how God engages you with this question, you find mercy, you find grace, you find help and counsel and forgiveness. Yeah. When we do hard-heartedly not trust him. Yeah. And we do just find ourselves steeped in fear and worry.
Like Jonah.
And like Jonah, in a way that does say you don't have God's affections. True. You know what I'm saying? True. So, and there's forgiveness for that, even in that space too. So I think it's this was a thing definitely worth talking about and thinking about out loud. So that's good stuff, bro. Yep.
Love it.
Make sure you hit that notification bell after you subscribe. You don't want to miss this complicated ish.